Hello and welcome to our course Marketing Management Part 2. We are in week 4 and this is going to be a first session on this topic, new topic, that is brand management. I am Shashi Shekhar Mishra and I am offering this course in association with my senior colleague Professor Jayanta Chatterjee. We are from Department of Industrial and Management Engineering at IIT Kanpur. So, in this topic we are going to discuss about broadly three things, which is about introduction to brand, the world of brand. It's a very unique or interesting area where people are really fascinated, both on as a consumer as well as a probably professional also. Brand is a fascinating area to work in, and to academician also there is a lot of interest into this topic of brands. Then we will also look into the concept of brand equity. It's what is this brand equity is, how do we measure it, how do we define it, and basically how does basically it is critical to a firm. Then we will look into this third thing, which is about devising brand strategy. So, how do we devise the brand strategy? So, now I will just talk to you about one situation. You can go back to one of your previous buying situation or purchase situation where you might have purchased your first car, or you might have purchased first time any electronic gadget, and therein when you, or you can think of the next time you go and try to observe or try to be conscious about what I am writing here on this slide is that you go to buy a product from a shop. Among the various choices available, how do you make a buying decision with limited knowledge or without trial? So, when you go to buy something very new or probably for the first time, and you have a limited information about the important attributes in the product that should be looked to make the purchase, and the performance of the product or the different offering from the different seller on those important attributes and various other information that is related with that product category. So, when you do not have much of the information or much of the experience, if you are not expert in that area, how do you make your buying decision in those situations? Now, quite often you will see, when you will consciously observe yourself, that your purchase decision is predominantly or very in a critical way it is being influenced by the brands, and then it makes us to think that why these brands are very important. So, we will look into this thing like what is a brand and what kind of role they play in the buying situation, how they are beneficial to customers as well as seller. Now, to look into a formal definition of the brand, this is the definition as you can see on the slide. It is given by American Marketing Association. The definition is that a brand is a name, term, sign, symbol or design or a combination of them intended to identify the goods or the services of one seller or group of seller and to differentiate them from those of the competitors. So, basically brand can be a combination of any of these things like name, term, sign, symbol or design, and that is basically used to differentiate the offering of you as a seller from your competitors. Now, one thing one has to understand is that though this term brand has come to the picture or probably the prominence in last couple of decades, and as the world is more connected, the brands can be seen probably across more prominently, but you will find out that brand as a concept or their uses or utilization has been there from centuries or maybe thousands of years old. You can see that famous rishi of this Chyawanprash, on his name the product Chyawanprash came into the picture. So, the entire product category is known as Chyawanprash, and you see the paintings in the olden days, they used to be sold by the name of the artist actually. So, those are also a type of brands which used to get sold, and they were quite a famous brands in those times. So, this is one formal definition of the brand, but the better way of understanding probably the brand is, I found this definition to be better, that brand is more than a name or a logo. As Professor David Acker says, that it is an organization promised to deliver what the brand stands for, not only in terms of functional benefits, but also emotional, self expressive and social benefits. So, it says that brand is not just a name, logo, jingle, it is basically an organization or a seller's promise to its target customer that what this brand stands for. And brand not only offers, the very common myth is that brands are only about emotional benefits. No, brands also offer functional benefits, but one has to understand in which way these functional benefits are delivered through the brands. So, brands offer functional benefits as well as emotional benefits. They are basically ways of self representation and social benefits. Now, Professor Acker goes further and says that the brand goes beyond even this promise, and they are basically, a brand is more than delivering on a promise, it is also a journey, an evolving relationship based on perception and experience that a customer has every time he or she connects to a brand. So, whenever each time you get connected with a brand, you have a certain type of experience, or whenever you find a mention of a brand, certain kind of perception comes into the mind, a certain kind of discussion happens about the brand. So, all these basically, the sum of all these associations basically contribute to the building the image of the brand, and you can see that brand is basically a way that tangibilizes the abstract relationship between a customer and the company. A better way of understanding how the brands are different from the product is this statement by Stephen King of WPP Group London, where he says that a product is something made in a factory, a brand is something that is bought by the customer. One has to understand that that organization manufacture products, but what a customer buys is, or what exists in the mind of the customer is a brand. A product can be copied by a competitor, a brand is unique. Brands are really difficult to imitate, and they are that intangible resource, or that is very difficult to imitate, and that is very difficult to copy actually, and then as a entry barrier, or as basically a competitive barrier, brands are very difficult to basically surpass. You will see across the world, we will talk about some of the brands, top brands in the world, and you will see that it is very difficult for competitors to surpass these brands. A product can be quickly outdated, a successful brand is timeless, and this is a fact. Basically, one has to understand that products, you will see that products will keep coming in the market, they will also get obsoleted from the market. However, the brand exists in the market, and the smart marketeers can utilize this power of the brand to achieve the important organizational goals. Now, what does this what is the benefit of this brand in the buying situation, that one has to understand, or when the role of the brand is very critical in purchase decision. Now, when the benefit requires experience to be judged or credibility to be accepted as present, then you have to basically rely more on the brand. Like when you go to a doctor, okay, and in that situation probably you rely more on the reputation of the doctor to believe that the kind of treatment he is going to give you is accurate and it is good for your health. Or for the sake, you go to a educational institution, what you see is that what its reputation is. What you will experience later on, in the absence of any experience, the possibility is that you will rely more on the reputation of that institute more. The second thing which contributes that which makes the brands really important in the consumer purchase decision making is that when there is a high perceived risk in any buying situation, then brands are extremely important. In we quite often see that the customers try not to take a big risk, or they try to minimize their risk. If we try to see whether if the customers are offered higher benefits or a new offering, on the other side they are offered a brand which comes with a standard benefits or commonly accepted benefits in the market, customers are more likely to, most of the customers you will find out that in high risk buying situation, they will go with a more safer option or more bankable option in the form of the more reliable brand. And the another thing is that when the customers perceive a meaningful difference in the different sellers offering, then also the role of the brands is important. Whenever there is a situation, whenever there are product categories where customers do not make much of the difference among the offering of the different seller, in those situations it is very difficult to make any brand actually, or to create a brand. And from this point of view, from this point one has to understand that branding across different product category or in different situation, the efforts required and the ability to basically brand a product will also vary. That in certain situation you will have more scope of branding a product than compared to the other product category or other situation where consumers do not make much of the difference between the offering of the different sellers. Then we have the situation where time, effort and expense to acquire and evaluate various brands are high. So, the situation where the search cost or the time required or the expertise which are required to evaluate the different offerings is very high, and consumers are not ready to invest that much amount of time, or they do not like to invest that much amount of time, there probably branding is something which can generate a very fruitful results for an organizations. So, these are the important thing that that one has to keep in mind when thinking about the branding and the consumer behavior. Then what are the benefits that a brand offers to a seller? So, the very first thing, as the definition of AMA also says, the biggest benefit, or for the concept, the biggest benefit is that identify the maker, that it differentiate the offering of one seller from the other seller. The second thing is that it simplifies the product handling. So, in any organization you will see that in operations or the processes, managing the product handling is very easier. At the same, I mean, like it is true for the manufacturing level, and at the same time it is also true for the distribution and sales also. It helps in organizing the accounting. Brands are something which is very important to organization, because they are also offering a legal protection, that anybody cannot just imitate your brand or a registered intellectual property, your logo or any other intellectual property. So, they provide you a sort of legal protection, they safeguard you against such kind of competitive imitation also. Then the brands often signifies the quality from a seller. They create barriers to entry. Now, one has to understand that the concept of they create barriers to entry for the competitors. In certain situation it is possible that one can imitate the product very easily, but it is quite often it is seen that where there are very strong brand present in the market, the customers will show extreme level of resistance to any new entry or any competitive offering. As you can see that we have discussed in some of the other session and marketing management one also, that the carbonated drinks sector, where some of these brands Coca-Cola and Pepsi are present, you will find out introduction of any new brand or taking away the, in fact the market share by one player to the other is very difficult, because consumers do not purchase the beverage, actually they purchase that brand image or the perception about the brand. So, and it has been quite proven or validated by this fact that customers do not switch, and in fact they predominantly consume a brand than a product, by the fact that this blind tests have revealed that when the consumers are offered something with blindfolded, and when the blindfold is removed, their choices differ. Then brands are a source of competitive advantage. They are basically a mental barrier for any new competitive offering to overcome, and that is how it is basically a competitive advantage to a firm. Brands are one source of price premium, and that is where we also try to measure the strength of the brand, that the stronger the brand is, the consumer will be ready to pay the extra price for that. So, these are the important things from the perspective of the seller, that why they should brand for a product. Then I would just like you to see that that there are some of the brands across the world. I have listed top 10 brands. This is basically the result of Interbrands survey of 2015, where they have a certain methodology to come out with the valuation of the different brands, top brands across the world. And now you can see there are top brands across the world. The first one is on the table is the brand Apple, which is roughly around $170 billion. Now mind it, one thing which is important here is this valuation is not so sacred, in the sense like there are a couple of other agencies which do this valuation, and they might come out with a different kind of valuation. And one thing which is sure is that nobody is ready to agree what is the exact valuation of these brands, but still you can judge from these valuation that they have a significant, the brands have a significant value for the organizations, and they basically are a source of future cash flow, or they offer a large number of advantage for any firm to operate in any competitive environment. So, the top on the table is basically Apple. You can see the brand is roughly around $170 billion. Then you have Google, though it has a very high brand valuation, you will see that Google's effort on marketing communications are not that high in terms of its basically investment into the branding or the promotion. However, whatever it basically invest, or its return on investment on those efforts are very high, because of the smart way of their marketing and design. Then the third brand, which is basically a mass market product, the Coca-Cola. It used to be a couple of years back, about a decade back, it used to be the topmost brand in the world, but over the period of the time, this technology brands like Apple and Google have taken over them. Coca-Cola roughly comes around $78 billion in this 2015 survey, and then you have some other technology giants like Microsoft, IBM, and then you have this automobile major Toyota into the picture, and then Samsung, GE, McDonald's. McDonald's is a restaurant chain. Many of you might have already visited to the restaurant of McDonald's, so you know enough about this brand. And then you have at the 10th place this Amazon. So you can see that how much this intangible value this brand have for their organizations. Certain executives in fact believe that given a choice they will be ready to sacrifice everything except in place of the brands, because if they have the power of the brand, the customer or the consumers will remain attached to them, and they can again achieve the success in the market. So, what is this branding actually? If brands are so important, then what is branding? So, branding is basically endowing products and services with the power of the brand. And when we say that we want to brand something, it means that branding is all about creating difference. Branding means that a product has a differential advantage with respect to any generic product or any unbranded product. As basically a branded product, consumer understand who the product is, what it does, and why the consumer should care about that product. So, branding is about creating mental structure to organize knowledge and clarify decision making to benefit the firm. You will see that brand exists because of the knowledge or the mental structure in the minds of the consumer. They have certain kind of positive associations in the mind of the consumers, and if there is no consumer knowledge in the mind of the consumer, if there is no knowledge in the minds of the consumer, the brands will not exist or the brand strength will be very weak. Now the question comes, what can be branded? So here are the different types of things that can be branded. So physical goods, you can see so many product in the consumer market that exist and they are branded, like physical goods like Maggi, Nike, shoes, Lux soap. These are all basically the example of physical goods that comes as a brand offering. Then you have services from McKinsey Consulting, State Bank of India, Air India, the national carrier for airlines. So these are basically some of the brands from the services sector. Then you have the stores that can also be branded in the form of Big Bazaar, Pantaloons, Shoppers Stop, and many more in that area. The person can also be branded, whether this is a coincidence or it's basically just something which has happened, or sometimes people are branded deliberately. So the brand of Virat Kohli, one of the biggest or the most bankable the sports celebrity in the current time. Then you have as a brand, as a political figure, the Narendra Modi's campaign of 2014 election. Then you have Sachin Tendulkar and many more sports celebrity. They are very bankable brands. Then you have places like Pink City, Jaipur, and then a state like Kerala, which promotes heavily about tourism in their place. And then you can also brand organizations like UNICEF, our institute IIT Kanpur. It's a very reputed academic brand. Then the idea is also branded, like these days very popular ideas which are existing in the space is this Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and this Beti Bachao Beti Padhao Abhiyan. So you can see there are different categories of the offering which can be branded. The idea is that you can go back and think about each of these brands, the example I have given, and try to understand why these brands, or what is the difference, or what is the unique feature under each of these brands that makes them different from the other brands in the market, and that will help you in understanding how the brands are created and what kind of things can be branded. So the next concept which is there is, what is brand equity? So brand equity is a added value endowed on products and services which may be reflected in the way consumers think, feel, and act with respect to the brand. In this concept of brand equity, the equity any brand holds, the concept of customer based brand equity is quite commonly referred, and consumer based brand equity, which is also abbreviated as CBBE, can be defined as the differential effect that brand knowledge has on consumer response to marketing of the brand. Three ingredients in this consumer based brand equity is that perceptual difference, brand knowledge and association, and differential response. So it is about the consumer based brand equity has three dimensions. How it can be created is that there is a difference in the offering of the seller, and how this offering difference is created in the form of mental knowledge structure in the mind of the consumer through the different communication and marketing activities, and what is the consumer's differential response to this kind of mental knowledge structure. So that basically constitute this concept of brand equity. I will stop here, and when we meet in the next session, we will talk further about this concept of brand equity and the remaining concept related to brands. Thank you very much.